What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have yet another album review for you. And one that we didn't want to miss because these guys are from right up north from here. We've seen them live before and they absolutely crush. So we are going to go over the latest offering from Throne. That who set upon him was death. This also comes out on the 21st of March on Redefining Darkness Records. This band formed in 2014 in Jackson, Michigan. This is their second full length. We actually went over their last one, Pestilent Dawn, which we thought was pretty good. I've been a fan of them since, well, we saw them live at the Sanctuary. Yep. And they're like, holy shit, I've never heard of this band, but they're fucking awesome.
It's the same thing for me. I had never heard of them either, and then they played. I don't remember who we saw them with.
I know it was the Sanctuary.
I know. I 100% know it was the Sanctuary, but I was like, man, these guys fucking rule.
I ended up getting their first EP, Altar of the Dying, which I think is absolutely awesome. It was kind of a mix of like At the Gates and Dying Fetus. Like, just try to imagine those two bands kind of merging their sounds, because you get mellow death riffs and big old slammy chuggy breakdowns and grooves, and like a smattering of black metal. And on the archives, they are described as melodic blackened death metal. They also feature current and former members of bands like Winterus and Jesus Wept. And baseline, I'm just going to go ahead and say that this band needs to update their archives, because this is not melodic blackened death metal. Holy shit, this is probably the heaviest thing this band has released, and we could make some solid arguments that this is like almost brutal death metal now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. There are still moments of melodic death metal in here, but they are kind of sparse, as well as blackened moments. Again, there are a couple of blackened moments, but for the most part, this is chuggy, blasty, brutal death metal, and it pretty much is that right off the bat. It opens up with the track Disentombed, and I thought that riff at the beginning was a little thrashy, just a bit, but really that's about the only time that really happens. After that, you're off to the blasty races, and let me tell you, man, the drums don't slow down one iota, not one bit, not at all.
Not really. I mean, yeah, you get some like big old slammy grooves every now and then, a lot of double time groove, but most of this is blast beats. Like, this is a blasty ass album, and it's vicious. Like, every riff on here is vicious. Now, the production on here, I think, is awesome. The first thing I noticed immediately was how just super crunchified that guitar was. And this was handled by Andy Nelson of Weekend Nachos and then mastered by Brad Boatwright. We've definitely covered Brad Boatwright quite a bit on here, and he does a fantastic job. And the mix on here is, it feels honestly like Italian brutal death metal slash death metal. Like, this is very comparable to like Hour of Penance, Hideous Divinity, Devangelic. It just has that style where it is just brutal and fast and extreme at like all times, but there's still like just enough melody to kind of like break it up a bit. Now, before with Altar of the Dying, which again is where I got into them, these moments were like kind of broken up a bit. Like, you'd have a more mellow death section, albeit it would have like more intense drums behind it. Like, again, more Dying Fetus-esque. Like, the drum work on here, it kind of reminds me of Trey Williams, honestly. But then you would go into like a blackened section, you get the high shrill screams, which Nate Barnes has kind of changed his gear for the most part here, because man, he has gone low. But as John was saying, the blackened elements and the melodic elements have been kind of dialed back, and in place they have just absolutely drenched this thing in some of the heaviest fucking riffs possible.
Riffs. That's what I wrote for 90% of my notes here. Songs like Blasphemous Perversion that is just drenched in nasty triplet chugs, and they're ascending too, and I really think that's cool.
Flat out slams on that thing.
And then Upon Deathless Winds, which I think bears pretty much solid comparisons to bands like Decapitated. I got a whole lot of Spheres of Madness vibes coming out of that song.
You get a lot of that like hefty syncopation, like breakdowns do show up on here, but often they're kind of like just more like straight up slams. Like, they are just brutal as shit. Even in terms of like lead melodies on here, like lead melodies, it's mostly just like harmonized tremolos, or you get like an occasional lead on here. But for the most part, it's about thickening up the riffs. And my God, they are just insanely heavy. Like, at points in here, honestly, you could have told me I was listening to a band like Vomit the Soul, and I would have believed you. This does sound a little bit removed from their older style, especially again in terms of like melody and black metal, but it's still in there. It's still injected in at moments that are well timed, because this did need some breaking up, because man, again, this thing is relentless. And this album is just a scratch over a half an hour. And in terms of like moments of ambiance and atmosphere and like a little bit of clean melody, there's one. There's one. To Breathe the Unknown opens up with some clean, haunting guitars, and then those fuck right off in favor of blast beats and insane technical riffing. There's a lot of like early Nile vibes on there. But that's it in terms of like a breather. The rest of this is full tilt boogie like the entire way.
Even those few moments where you do get blackened sections, like the bridge in Human Frailty, or the bridge in Upon Deathless Winds, or the even tremolo sections that appear in Disentombed, like, those are about it. But even with those, and although they're filled with like soaring melodies, like Human Frailty, I thought was kind of bright during that section.
Yeah.
But behind it, at all times, there's both either a double time groove or a blast beat or some like nasty chug to go underneath it. So it's kind of a weird trade-off.
But I will say, I kind of like that whole like switch. Like you can hear when they do tremolos, which tremolos, like most of this, honestly, is just chuggy. It is chuggy and fast and aggressive. Like they really went for aggression on this album. The tremolos, they do pop up. They are catchy, frequently harmonized, but I like hearing that switch from like those deep death metal tremolos to like the more scratchy, cold, icy, blackened ones. Upon Deathless Winds in particular, I think that one does it beautifully. Like the transitions, they create like a really cool contrast. Like I think it's honestly one of the most dynamic songs because of those. And there's still, again, like touches of melody in here, but certainly not enough to call this like melodic anything metal. Like this is flat out brutal as hell. But Behold Impurity, honestly, they work a good balance between like solid melodic hooks, especially again on the tremolo harmonies, and just flat out brutal aggression.
I like that song too because the intro is like a start-stop riff, but when that riff kicks in, I like it because the riff itself is off time, but the drums are straightforward, and I think that's a really cool trade-off too.
And there's some like fun time signature stuff, like the song Realm of Immolation, which I believe they called that place Yonkers. For the record, I am all in favor of renaming Yonkers Realm of Immolation because Yonkers sounds like an STD a cartoon could catch. Sorry, Yonkers, you have immolation, so you're pretty damn cool by us. But that song, again, like, you know, a little bit more brooding, a little bit more dark, but this one has like one of the most brutal moments on here with this descending chug over this blast beat pattern. These just individual dragging you down into the depths of just, well, I don't know, like it's not hell, it's more like a fucking meat grinder. Like it's just vicious, brutal, ugly fucking song. And again, that is the bulk of this. And while I did expect that, because I will not say that this band has ever been not heavy, they've been heavy throughout their entire short career, but this is like a really stark jump. And there might have been like some trade-off here in terms of like removing some of the more atmospheric sections of the like kind of mellow death tinge stuff. But again, I kind of like the fact that this is just a fucking blitz. Like it just comes at you so goddamn fast. And production wise, again, I really just like the sound of this. Like this has the sound of like, you know, kind of like earlier Dying Fetus. Like it has that more raw, just kind of gritty sound. Like you can hear it in the guitars. They're just a little bit dirty sounding, even down to the drums and the drum sound. Like the drums, I mean, the first thing I thought of was Dying Fetus. It kind of has that more compressed sound. Like, yeah, you do definitely get like a clicky bass drum, but honestly, with as fast as they're going, you kind of need it. Baseline, I honestly loved like every song in here. Like there isn't a song in here that I would say kind of drops off in terms of like quality, intensity, like any of the key factors that I think were like, you know, the main focus of this album, which again, I will say was definitely aggression. And it does have this very uniform sound throughout. And the fact that it just keeps going, like you don't have much like breathing space in between tracks. I like that, but I do think some of the songs do kind of run together a little bit. But at the same time, what this album lacks in variety, maybe, it makes up for in just, again, unyielding intensity.
Yep.
Like, if you're going to do kind of like that same thing, kind of from song to song, like just keep on it, like foot on the gas and just chug people's faces off, then do it at this pace. This is how you do it.
Yeah, I'll agree. There were a couple songs that ran into each other, but really because it never loses its pace and because it never loses its tempo, to be honest, you could remove the track breaks and just have one solid half-hour song of unrelenting blast beats, unrelenting chuggy riffs, it being super heavy, and that's pretty much what this record is all about. So I can't even really gripe that a couple songs run into each other, or they pretty much are stuck in the same mode throughout 95% of this album.
I was making the same stank face throughout this entire thing. Like, it was just unchanging. Like, someone farted and walked right by me. Like, yeah, he had Taco Bell.
So, overall, I'm going to give this record a solid 4 stars. This is a really, really good album. Incredibly heavy. I didn't quite expect it to be this heavy like the whole time. Like, I expected some different things out of this band. I expected some more melodic death moments or a little bit more blackened moments, but like for the most part, this record just goes for the throat, and it squeezes and it squeezes, and it doesn't let up at all. Vicious intensity throughout the entire album, unrelenting drum speed. I'm tired for that guy. I'm tired. I can't believe it, sir. I can't believe it's not butter. It's tiresome. The record is a beatdown through and through. It's riffy, it's chuggy, it's really all the things I like about death metal all wrapped up into one record. The tremolos are gross, they sound sinister at times. Human Frailty, those tremolos in particular, are particularly sinister and evil sounding. I don't know. It's a great record. I really don't have any complaints, and it, again, is heavier than shit. If you're a fan of bands like Cattle Decapitation, Suffocation, Decapitated, Aborted, Dying Fetus, Hideous Divinity, things like that, you're probably really going to dig this. I, again, fucking loved it. This is like the 3rd time today I've listened to it. So, yeah, good job, Throne.
I am also at a 4. Man, this was a beatdown I really wasn't expecting. Mm-mm. Again, I didn't think this band was, like, soft at all. Like, their previous 2 offerings that I have are heavier than hell, but this one is decidedly heavier. Like, this is brutal. And while this band has definitely had like brutal elements kind of peppered in their music before, this feels so brutality forward that, again, like it just feels like it's there to like make your blood pressure and your fucking heart rate spike. The drum work is absolutely insane. The change in riff work, just kind of just going for like the most aggressive riffs. Like, this isn't bereft of melody, but melody has been scaled back in favor of just going for the throat. Like, again, I wasn't expecting like just stupid heavy slam riffs and like all the triplet chugging in here. Jesus Christ. Was not invited to this album.
Not at all.
While I do kind of miss some of the elements that were in their sound, earlier on, I can't argue against just a straightforward beatdown of an album. Like, I love Dying Fetus. Dude, bands like Vomit the Soul. Like, this honestly reminds me a lot of like Italian death metal, like the more brutal shit. Again, like all the bands I listed, that whole scene, they all move at Mach 10 and they only slow down for like, a slam riff and then they're right back to it. Like, this is kind of right on that fucking level. Again, if you're a big fan of that style, especially, Devangelic, Hideous Divinity, those 2 in particular, and definitely like Hour of Penance, and again, like Aborted, Dying Fetus, stuff like that, check this out. You might get a little bit of Belphegor seasoning every now and then, but for the most part, this is just a fucking brutal, blasty chug fest, and I dig it. Check it out. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They were only 99 cents, and our lone perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will probably do one towards the end of April, and we have no idea what we'll talk about. We generally don't. We kind of improvise a lot, but who knows? We might do a theme one in the future, but it's just fun to hang out and chit-chat. But memberships are the main way to support the channel now. We also still have our store, thrallsmetal.com, with our hats and our shirts. That is linked down below in the video description. But if you would like to become a member of this channel, there's a join button down here someplace, and you can just flick that thing and say, hey, I'm in. Or, you don't have to do that. You might actually ruin your phone screen or your fucking computer screen or whatever. You might break it. Don't do that. We're not going to be responsible for that.
Yeah, we're hardly responsible for really anything else anyway. We're actually fairly irresponsible people.
I pay my bills.
I do too, sometimes. It's not important. What is important is that you're here, and we are thankful for that. Thank you for being a part of Thralls of Metal. Thank you for hitting that join button if you did, and even if you didn't, we still thank you for being here. Tons of content coming from Thralls of Metal, album reviews, discography rankings. We got At the Gates coming up next that I think we need to at least start. I need to start. We need to take some notes. I don't know. But we're going to do that. Multiple discussion forums, States of Metal, is it metal, is it not metal, Nick's Never-Ending Collection updates, live streams, the members only live streams, whenever the hell we decide to go live out of sheer boredom streams. Those are not members. I don't know. You get the idea. I'm going to stop babbling. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming your way. So one more big thank you because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.